Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review, and the week I'm doing this video, the so-called summer movie season is, starting, and I figured to talk about. I know we're planning to do this video on the actual day of this film, that on the day that this film depicts. But I figured I'd do it a little bit earlier, and that is, we'll get a jump on it, and that is the 1986 film, Independence Day. Roy D. Ford for short. Of course, this movie is one of my favorite films. In fact, my favorite film from 1996, actually, because it was really a modern retelling of the classic science fiction film, The War of the Worlds. And of course, this film also has, one hell of a cast in it. It has Jeff Goldblum, Will Smith. It was really the movie that made Will Smith's career. It also has Judd Hirsch from Taxi, Morgan Collin, and Bill Pullman, Randy Quaid. So it does have a top line cast in it. Plus Edgar A. Fox. There's also a movie that made Edgar A. Fox's career. Of course, if you don't know the story, never lived in a barn or in a cave somewhere, and don't know the movie, this movie is, like I said, one of the best science fiction films. Now the movie's going to get a lot of criticism. I'm going to get into that, but I'm going to talk about the premise first. Well, the premise is a bunch of these aliens who really don't know what planet they were from, or originally from, or what type of creatures that they're in the name of their race or anything. Comes down to Earth with these various ships. Came detached from the mothership, which is all these major cities around the planet. And of course, here in the United States, it originally was over New York, LA, Washington D.C., and eventually destroyed others. I know the other way. Other cities were like Paris, London, Sydney, Australia, Bombay, India. All these big name cities. They're all 15 miles across. That's how big these ships are. And of course, after the initial destruction, the Chevron figured out that these aliens want to attack Earth. There's probably no more New York, no more Washington. And so he wants the president, played by Bill Pullman, say, hey, these aliens are going to attack us, and the clock is ticking. Because so on his laptop computer, a clock that was like ticking down, and they all got out of the White House. And of course, that was when the aliens attack. And of course, the iconic scene, which is on the cover, the White House blows up. I remember in the early screenings, when they had the sequence when the White House blows up, people were starting cheering. This is kind of funny because there was a Democrat in the White House. Because Bill Clinton was president then, and so he heard about this cheering of this particular scene. So he had a personal screening in the White House, and of course, early on when the president was first introduced in this film, he got a call from his wife, played by I forgot her name, but I know she was in Dancing with Wolves and then the Battlestar Galactica reboot. She was in this film, gives the president a call, and Bill Pullman says, I have a confession to make. I'm sleeping next to a beautiful young brunette. When the line came up, Bill Clinton was squirming in his seat because at that time he was having an affair with a young brunette. Beautiful depends on the point of view, but he was having this favorite Monica Lewinsky at the time. So when that line came out, he was squirming. When he breaks the premise, of course, you know what happens. Will Smith, I think he stole this movie. He plays a Marine pilot, and he was the last survivor of the original, attack of the counterattack on the alien ship over Los Angeles. So of course, he had the line where he punches out the alien, and he says, "Welcome to Earth." And of course, he has, which of course got a big laugh. And the other line says, "And that's why I call it Close Encounter." And another reference to, of course, another science fiction movie, Close Encounters. But of course, if you carefully watch this film, I have several science fiction and other popular movies that were put into this one. And of course, you have, of course, Close Encounters, of course, when people look up and the ships coming in, these big spaceships. Star Wars, these are the Black Knights, and of course, you have lines like, "Oh my God, they're everywhere," type lines, and look how huge that is. My God, look how big that is. And then you had lines like a Top Gun with the fire pilot sequences. And so you did have a lot of course, like I referenced earlier, War of the Worlds. It's like a modern retelling. And of course, if you remember the War of the Worlds movie, it was like the original version, 1953. You had the aliens dying out by codes and virus and germs. In this film, you have, of course, the modern type of virus, which is a computer virus, which, of course, one of the main problems of the film. But also, when we get back to the acting, Judd Hirsch, who plays Jeff Goldblum's father, also still in this movie. I thought it was great. The acting was great. I love the actors in it. And that's what really sold the movie, the special effects, the action sequences, and the acting. That's what really sold it. Of course, before I get into the problems, I know I'm skipping around a little bit, but before I get into the problems, there's one, of course, major thing that I don't think a lot of people know, and I heard this on the audio commentary track of the DVD. That originally, the U.S. military, when there is a film that's based or has a lot of military people in it, like all those old World War II films from the 50s and 60s, or like Civil War films and that type of thing, the military puts their support in that and actually lends the film company that produces the film costumes, so it can make authentic uniforms and everything, so the actors would look more authentic. But in this particular sequence, when they actually go to Area 51, because they put in the whole Roswell thing into this film, which I thought was interesting, because the very next year was the 50th anniversary of the infamous Roswell crash. And they put the Roswell crash and Area 51 in it. Because there was one particular scene where they were thinking of maybe using when the president was thinking of launching nuclear missiles. And Jeff Goldblum was against that type of nuclear war, nuclear weapons, and recycling for the film. And he said, oh, you can't use that stuff. You use it, everyone else, other countries to the left who has them, will use them too. There's going to be nuclear winter for the planet. And the Secretary of Defense says, "Shut up, get him out of here." Because Judd Hirsch, who plays Jeff Goldblum's father, defends him and says, "Hey, don't tell him to shut up. You won't be dead now if it wasn't for him." And he said, "Oh, we were unprepared for this attack." Robert Loge was in this film, he was also being there. And he says, "Alright, Judd Hirsch, don't give me that unprepared stuff. You knew 50 years ago. You know back in the 60s. You knew in the 50s we had that thing from New Mexico. It was from New Mexico, yeah. You had, and people was all know that not a spaceship thing, yeah. Yeah, you had that thing you found in New Mexico. You knew then. You did nothing. And, and of course, the president tried to reassure George Bush because there was no Area 51 is not recovered spaceship. And of course, the Secretary of Defense was James Redburn, who died recently. He says that's not entirely accurate, which was a great line. The way he delivered it was great. And of course, then they went to Area 51 and they hid there for a good chunk of the film until, of course, the final attack. At the end, it takes place at the end of the film. And of course, when the U.S. military found out that the producers of the film were going to use Area 51 and the whole Roswell thing, they pulled the support of this film. So they had to make up their own military costumes for all the actors who were playing military actors in this film. A little bit of trivia, we don't know, of course, the problems with the film. And of course, the one major faux pas in the film is, of course, the infamous part where Jeff Goldblum's laptop computer, and this was in the early days of laptop computers, was able to connect to the aliens' computer system, and he was able to send a computer virus that affected the mother ship. That was like the biggest major. About every movie reviewer, while Siskel and Ebert on down, complained about that part of the film. And I can say that too, but how can an alien system, the computer system, be able to, and also you can do the reverse argument, how can their computer system be able to get into our system, our satellite system? You can make that argument two ways, but most critics complain that way. But as the film itself, I thought it was still entertaining from every July 2nd, actually, or July 3rd. I would take this DVD out, the movie out, and I would watch it. Because technically, I think the movie was originally supposed to come out like July 3rd. I think it's supposed to really come out July 3rd. They don't really want to open on July 4th. They want to come out the day before so people can see that day and July 4th. But of course, if you watch the movie, it actually starts July 2nd. It goes over three days span. July 2nd, July 3rd, and July 4th. So I figured this was started on July 2nd, 1996. They came out on July 2nd, and it became a huge hit. And I went to see it because I do like these type of movies. But then of course you have to escape realism a little bit, and it is a long movie, it's about 2.5 hours, 2 hours 25 minutes. On the DVD that I have here, this is actually a special edition DVD of Independence Day, because it does have about 9 minutes of extra scenes in it. There are the two versions of the film in here. It has the original theatrical version, plus the special length of it. On the special edition version, it has 9 minutes of extra footage that was cut out from the film. I watched the version with the 9 extra minutes because I thought it was better. Because there was some things in there that was cut out from the original version that couldn't be put in. One particular scene where Jeff Goldblum's character tells his boss, Beverly Harvey Feinstein, what was going on with their cable satellites, and trying to explain that there's some signal and it's slowly filtering down, and I think we were able to filter this out. And he says, "Oh, we're the only guys in town." You know, and trying to do it in his voice. We're the only guys in town. Is that a clear picture? Yeah. But at the end, that scene, Harvey Feinstein kisses Jeff Goldblum on the mouth. If it didn't have that scene in it, or that particular part of that scene in it, it probably would have been in the film, final cut of the film. But since you had males kissing in the whole anti-gay, you know, everyone wanted to see a scene with two guys kissing, even though it's just a quick pick. They felt they had to cut it out because people who are really well, I'm not gay myself, so I'm not that there's anything wrong with it. But I'm not a homosexual, but to see that, I mean, anyone, you know, that scene, even though it's just a quick scene, that in itself doesn't affect me. I'm not vehemently anti-gay like a lot of extremists are. But I'm sure the extremists will be objected to that scene. Plus, those other small, quick scenes of it, and then with Randy Quaid's character and with his kids, you know, extra dialogues and stuff. There was cut out, I guess, mainly for time. Usually scenes are cut out mostly because of time, but to see those scenes, you know, it's more of a complete film. Those scenes in there. So, but in terms of, and also watching with the audio commentary, and that's how I learned about the Area 51 stuff and how the military pulled the funding. But in the film itself, it's also, you know, there's all plenty of cheese we can argue with. That's still implausible. It doesn't make, you know, sense. But in the reality of this particular movie, that type of stuff does make sense. That type of stuff does work out at the end. So let me review of Independence Day. For today, I declared Independence Day. You know, to quote Bill Pullman. Now, this movie, I thought it is definitely still an enjoyable film to this day. And it's the only enjoyable film that I watched from the people who made this film, of course, the next one they made with the Godzilla film with Matthew Broderick in it. So it's like the same team. And the person who was, let's see, Robert Cullen, Robert Loggia, James Redburn, Mary McDonnell. That's her name. She played the the first lady, and of course she also did a good job. But no spoiler, she dies in the movie. I think she was the only major character who dies in the film. I think Harvey Feinstein also dies through the New York attack. But one funny comment was on the commentary was, of course, there was a dog, Vivica A. Fox's dog in his movement. I think it was Golden Retriever or Mix or whatever it was. When the attack starts, Vivica A. Fox and her kid were in the car, and she noticed everybody was running out of the cars and down to this tunnel. And Vivica A. Fox looks around and sees this plume of fire and smoke coming out. It's oh shoot, let's get out of here. So he grabs the kid, grabs the dog, grabs a couple of bags, gets out of there, gets into like this little maintenance shed. And there's also no improbable, so he breaks down this door, gets in there. Of course, she ends up living. Excuse me. Well, of course, the big thing was, I remember when we were seeing in the movie theater, everybody was cheering when the scene ended. And there was, of course, he was cheering for the dog. We have these millions of people in the film, because of course you know that they're really alive and well. But of course in the movie they're all being killed by the aliens. And people were worried about the dog and the Vivica A. Fox living with this little kid that she has living. And she's like, Booma! Booma! And of course He just misses the fire, gets in this maintenance shed, and they're all safe. and everybody was like, oh, and when the dog was safe, and when the fire was coming out, and the fire just misses the dog, we went, you know, gasp in the movie theater, and then when it was safe, everybody went, yay! Dog's okay. But like I said, this is my review for Independence Day. Please click on the video, please like it. Please comment on, and please share the video on your Facebook pages. Thanks for watching.